Out of all of the NBA postseason slips you've created so far, how many of them actually cashed? If you're like most people watching this, the answer is probably between barely any or not enough. And it's almost never because you made a stupid pick. It's most likely because a starter got pulled because of a blowout, or the line moved drastically 15 minutes before tip-off, or a guy you put in just came out completely flat for absolutely no reason. That's not bad luck. That's the way the app is designed to work against you. And I'm about to show you the one framework that flips that math in your favor. If you give me 15 minutes, by the end of this video, you're going to look at every PrizePicks slip differently than you ever have. I'm going to walk you through the live synergies I'm running right now in the 2026 playoffs, the math behind why they work, and the exact step-by-step I run before locking in anything. Before we continue, if you click the first link in the description, you'll be able to get all of my plays 50% off with code YouTube at checkout. Plus, if you want to try any of these tools for completely free, there's a 5-day free trial with Upside Tools. Plus, if you use code ICON at checkout, you'll be able to get 25% off with the second link in the description. Now let's get back into it. Look at this. You've lived all three of these scenarios in the last month, I can guarantee it. Your star player got pulled in a quarter-3 blowout, and your over is dead before garbage time. A guy you researched all morning comes out cold and never finds his rhythm, and your over is completely dead. The line gets bumped 15 minutes before tip-off because some sharp money came in, and now your edge is completely gone before the ball is even in play. If you're losing on PrizePicks, it's almost never because you're picking the wrong players, it's because you're playing the wrong game. Here's the shift in mindset I want you to make today. You're not picking players anymore, you're picking pairs. Two-player combinations where the math of how they share the floor is the thing that actually drives the outcome. Books are insanely good at projecting individual stat lines, decades of data, billion-dollar algorithms, all of it. What they're worse at is pricing how two players on the same team interact. And that's what we're going to live for the next 15 minutes. Before I show you what works, let me dismantle what doesn't. Because if you've been on a losing streak on PrizePicks, you're almost certainly guilty of at least one of these three traps. And the market built every single one of them on purpose. Trap 1. You pull a player's last 5 games. He's gone over 4 out of 5. You call the over a free square. You don't even hesitate, you lock him in. Trap 2. You hammer a superstar's over because the narrative says he has to show out tonight because it's a big game. Whatever the story is, you let the hype convince you that the math is in your favor. Trap 3. You pull up head-to-head matches, last season averages, and you say he always cooks this team. From old data, different rosters, or even a different role in that team. You use it like it predicts tonight. All three of these have the same fatal flaw. The book already knows. Every line you see is already priced with that exact information baked into the odds. Don't take my word for it. Look at the data. I have analyzed over 30,000 PrizePick props across the last 2 NBA seasons, and roughly 51% of the major ones cashed on the under. That's not a fluke. That's not bad luck. And that's the market doing exactly what it's designed to do. If you're hitting around 50-50 on your slips, that's not your fault. That's the calibration of the entire app working against the average bettor. The lines are tight, these traps are everywhere, and winning requires you to look somewhere they haven't priced in yet. Let me make this brutally clear. PrizePicks, the sportsbooks, and the entire market, these are billion-dollar operations. They have entire teams of quants whose only job is to factor in every single thing that you're researching on a day-to-day basis. The last 5 games, the matchup history, the rest days, the back-to-back fatigue, the projected minutes, all of it baked into the odds. So if your edge looks like everyone else's edge, you don't actually have one. You're just paying the house to confirm your bias. So if this easy stuff is already priced in, what's the actual edge? Player relationships. The book prices every prop on its own. Each line is set assuming everything else stays constant. But basketball doesn't work that way. Basketball is 5 guys sharing 1 ball, 1 set of possessions, and 1 set of shots. When one number goes up, another almost always goes down. That's connection. The way 2 players' stat lines move together or move opposite is way harder for the books to price, and it's where I've been finding most of my edges for years. Think about how a line gets set. The model spits out an expected value for each player given their usage, their matchup, and their minutes. Each one in isolation. But in any single game, all else is never equal. A playmaker has a great passing night, and his finisher gets free buckets from it. A star player goes nuclear, and his co-star is going to be quiet by design. And a team's pace may just completely slow down, which means every counting stat shrinks together. Isolated lines, connected outcomes, and that's the mispricing. Quick example to lock this in. Take the Pistons. When Cade Cunningham is in his playmaker mode and firing out his assists, Jalen Duren is the one finishing on the other end. Lobs, rolls, putbacks, that's a connected outcome. two stat lines moving together. Now if you flip it, when Cade goes into pure ISO scoring mode and stops setting people up, Durant's points completely disappear, also connected. Their numbers move in sync, in the same direction, almost every single night. That's a synergy. And once you spot them, you're not guessing whether a player pops tonight, you're betting on how the team is mathematically forced to operate. There are two main synergy types I look for. Let's start with the cleanest, easiest one to spot. Every made shot in the NBA is either created, someone passed it, someone screened, someone set it up, or it's unassisted. Players who finish at the rim, screen and roll bigs, catch and shoot guys, lob threats, those are guys mathematically dependent on a teammate creating for them. If their primary creator isn't dishing tonight, they're not eating tonight. Simple as that. So the idea is to stack the creator with the finisher. Both overs, the same slip, one read on the game, two cashes on the slip. And here's the strongest version of this stack on the entire 2026 board. Cade Cunningham assists into Jalen Durant points. The correlation of 0.91 in my tracking. Anything above 0.7 is elite, and 0.91 is absolutely absurd. Almost every Durant bucket runs through a Cade pass. Why is it so strong? Durant doesn't ISO. He doesn't dribble out possessions. He's purely a finisher around the rim. Lobs, putbacks, rolls. Cade is the only real engine on that team. So whenever Cade is in the distributor mode, Durant is the first read every single time. Both overs, the same slip, every Pistons game. Here's the template if you want to hunt your own assists into point stacks. 3 boxes to check. 1. You need a real playmaker. Someone averaging 8 or more assists per game in the playoffs we're currently in. Not a secondary creator, the actual engine of the offense. 2. You need a heavily assisted finisher. I want at least a 60% of his field goals to come off of teammate setups. If he's creating most of his own offense, the synergy won't work. He'll get his points either way. 3. And this is the one that people skip. The assists have to flow between these two players specifically, not just from the playmaker to the team in general, a direct connection. Player A to player B, I'll show you exactly how to verify that in the slip walkthrough. All 3 boxes have to clear, there's no exceptions. Here's the full board I'm running this postseason. Every assist into point synergy with a correlation above 0.70. Cade Cunningham to Durant on the Pistons, a 0.91, the strongest stack I have. Jamal Murray to Jokic on the Nuggets, a 0.88 correlation. Now Jokic to Murray on the Nuggets, a 0.85 correlation, a two-way synergy which is unbelievably rare, but we'll come back to that one. Tyrese Maxey to Embiid on the Sixers, a 0.84. There's a big asterisk on this one because it's only valid when Embiid is actually on the floor and healthy. He played 6 games this postseason and the Sixers got swept in the second round, so this one's on the shelf till next year. Stephon Castle to Wemby on the Spurs, a 0.81 correlation, one of the cleanest active stacks in basketball right now. Synergy type 2 is about 2 players pulling against each other instead of with each other. Here's the principle. A basketball game has a limited number of points to hand out. 2 stars on the same exact team are competing for the same touches, the same shots, the same fourth quarter possessions. One of them has to have a 30-ball kind of night, and the other is always going to be quiet by design. The team can't function any other way. So instead of betting both stars on the over and hoping they both somehow get there, you take one on the over and one on the under, on the exact same slip. You're not betting on the impossible scenario where both go nuclear in one game. You're betting on the much more likely scenario where one of them runs the show and the other one slowly fades off. There are 3 flavors of this kind of inverse synergy. Number 1 is the 2-star split. 2 all-star scorers, both high usage and both used to running the offense. Tatum and Brown, Brunson and Cat, Mitchell and Garland, pick your team. Number 2 is scorer versus setup man. Points or an assist on the same possession, never both. When a guard is in score first mode, his scoring target gets fewer setups, fewer easy buckets, and a quieter night. Number 3 is the playstyle clash. 2 scorers on the same team with totally different scoring profiles, competing for the same shot diet. One operates inside, one operates on the outside, and the game flow decides who eats. The same logic in every flavor, one over, one under, the same exact slip. Let's start with the textbook 2-star split. Tatum versus the Brown on the Celtics. These are Boston's 2 highest usage scorers, both all-stars, both capable of dropping 30 on any given night. But across my tracking, they go opposite directions on their point lines 70% of the time. Think about how big that is. If there was no relationship between them at all, you'd expect a coin flip, 50 the same direction and 50 the opposite. But 70% opposite is a massive structural edge. This team is mathematically built so only one of them eats on most nights. Take one over, take the other under, done. Same exact archetype, a different team. Brunson and Cat on the Knicks. 66% opposite directions on point lines in my tracking. Both are high usage scorers, both can carry the load, and both want the ball. But on most nights, it's one of them feasting and the other one fading. Use the same approach as Boston, one over, one under, every slip you put together with a Knicks game in it. Now this one is a scorer versus setup man. And here's the playstyle clash. Sengun and Amen on the Rockets. Sengun is a post and short range hub. Almost all of his offense is inside the arc, operating out of the elbow or the block. Amen is a vertical athlete and a slasher. Cuts, transitions, lobs, their profiles complement each other so cleanly that when Sengun is creating out of the post and racking up assists, Amen is one of the primary beneficiaries. And the connection sits at 0.73 correlation, the playmaker into finisher. Different archetype than Cade and Durant, but the same exact logic. This is the thing I want you to walk away from this section understanding. Individual players have moods, they have bad shooting nights, they have off games. You can't predict with any reliability, and neither can the books. But team structure is way more stable. The way two players are designed to share the floor doesn't change game to game. So when you're betting synergies, you're betting on something far more predictable than any individual box score. Now let me run you through every team that matters this postseason and give you the specific synergy I'm targeting for each one. Detroit Pistons. East #1 seed. Already pulled off the comeback from down 3-1 against the Magic in round 1, which is completely insane. And the synergy here is the one we already talked about. Cade to Durant, 0.91 correlation. The strongest stack on the entire board, both overs, both unders, every Pistons game, all postseason long. The Cavs, East #2 seed. Synergy here is more than internal scoring distribution than a single stack. Mitchell and Garland are textbook two-guard inverse split candidates. Both can run the offense, both can light it up. But on a typical night, only one of them is fully on. Watch the point lines when one of them is in a cold stretch. The other is usually leaning on the over. Easy split. Knicks, already in the East Finals, they swept the Sixers in the second round. The synergy is the one I just showed you. Brunson versus Cat, 66% opposite directions, one over and one under. What's worth flagging is they also just set an NBA playoff record this round with a 47-point halftime lead over Atlanta. When this offense locks in, the blowouts are on the menu. That kills overs for whichever Knicks player gets pulled in quarter 3, which gives you another angle to play around with if you're paying attention. The Sixers, eliminated in the second round by the Knicks, and I'm including them because the Maxey and Embiid stack was very important this year. A 0.84 correlation when Embiid was on the floor. He played 6 games this postseason because of the recovery he was going through, but the lesson here applies to every synergy I'm walking through. The best correlation in the world is worthless if one of the guys is not suiting up. Always check the injury report before you build a slip. OKC, West #1 seed, defending champs, opened these playoffs 8-0, the team to beat for the entire league. And surprisingly, the best synergy on OKC isn't a stack with SGA. He generates so much of his own offense that stacking him with a teammate just doesn't pay the way you would expect. The real play is the inverse split between Jalen Williams and Lou Dort. J-Dub lives in the mid-range and in the rim, and Dort lives behind the three-point line, pure playstyle clash. The same flavor as the Sengun and Amen dynamic, but inverted into a split rather than a stack. The synergy here is Stephon Castle into Wemby, a 0.81 correlation. Castle has stepped up as the primary creator on this team. Wemby is one of the most heavily assisted scorers in the league because of how much he finishes off rim runs, dump-offs, putbacks, and short roll setups. When Castle is in playmaker mode, Wemby is the first read. Denver, eliminated round 1 by Minnesota. I'm including them because they have one of the rarest, most valuable synergies in basketball. Murray to Jokic, a 0.88 correlation score. Jokic to Murray, a 0.85. Both directions, that's almost unheard of. Most synergies are one way. Player A creates, player B finishes. With these two, it works both ways. Murray drives and finds Jokic at the rim or the elbow, or Jokic operates from the post and finds Murray cutting or spotting up. Whichever one is in playmaker mode, the other one is eating. Lock this one in your pocket for next year, it'll be back. And finally, Houston. Sengun to Amen, a 0.73 correlation score. Already covered this one as the playstyle clash example, passing center, slashing wing, a beautiful stack. All of this strategy doesn't matter if you're running it on the wrong slip format. Let's talk the math. PrizePicks gives you a bunch of slip formats to play. Most of them are designed for you to lose. Take a 2-pick power play. Pays 3x, sounds great until you do the math. To break even on a 3x payout, you have to hit your individual props at 57.74%. That's elite level accuracy. Pretty much nobody sustains that, and every single prop has to be a 57% plus play. The second you take one coin flip, you're underwater. That's why I never play 2-pick powers, and hard rule, skip this format entirely. Now look at this number, 54.21%. That's the per leg hit rate you need to be long-term profitable on a 6-pick flex. Way more forgiving than a 57.74%. That gap looks small, 3.5%, but over the long run, that gap is difference between bleeding money and literally printing money. And it gets better. The flex format pays out on partial slips. You miss a leg, you still cash. That's enormous because it means correlated stacks become a force multiplier. If your stack hits at a 29.39% or better, you're profitable. If your 3-stack hits in 1 out of 5 times, you're profitable. That's how stacking compounds into real money over a long sample. The power format makes you nail every single leg. The flex format lets stacking do the work for you. Always flex and never power these slips. None of this works without bankroll management. I follow strict caps. On a 6 flex, the maximum I ever put on a single slip is 1% of my total bankroll. A $500 bankroll, that's a $5 max. A $5,000 bankroll, that's a $50 max. Doesn't matter how confident I am, the math only works if you live to play till tomorrow. Now let me show you the exact step-by-step I run before I lock any synergy slip in. Free tools, the public data, no paid subscriptions, anyone can replicate this in 5 steps. Step 1. Confirm the scorer is actually a finisher. First thing I'm checking on any potential stack, the scorer's assist field goal rate. If a guy creates most of his own offense, the synergy doesn't work. He'll get his points either way. Go to the NBA's official stats site and search the player up. Pull up his shot creation breakdown. I want to see assisted field goal percentage over 60%. Durant clears that bar by a mile. Now the rule of thumb, if a guy's assisted field goal rate is under 50%, don't bother stacking him with someone else's assists. He's getting his own buckets. Step 2. Confirm the connection runs between 2 players specifically. Just because a scorer is heavily assisted, that doesn't mean that assists come from the guy that you're stacking with. The connection has to be direct. If you go to PvP Stats, a free site, the link is in the description, click Get Stats, search the passer, confirm the scorer is at or near the top of his assist target. Then flip it. Search the scorer instead, confirm the passer is at the top of his assisted buckets. Both directions have to clear it. If both check out, which Cade and Durant absolutely do, you've confirmed a direct mathematical link. Step 3. Sanity check the recent history. Season-long correlation is great, but situations change. Roles shift after trades, coaches make adjustments mid-series. I want to confirm the synergy has actually been working lately. Go to Betting Pros, a free site, also linked in the description, and pull up the passer's assist props and grab his last 15 chart. Open another tab, pull up the scorer's points props, and grab the last 15 chart too. Stack them side by side and count how many of the last 15 games they were all in the same direction, both over or both under. I want to see at least 60% of the same direction recently. If it's lower than that, the synergy might be drifting and I'll fade that play. Step 4. Use the sportsbook to pick your direction. Now that you know the synergy is real, the last question is over on both or under on both. Don't guess, let the sportsbooks do the work. In American odds, a negative number is how much you need to bet to win $100. The bigger the negative, the more likely the book thinks that this outcome is. So if I pull up Cade's assist prop on any sportsbook, if the over is at -130 and the under is at -100, the book is telling me that the over is more likely tonight. So I take Cade's over. Then I take Durant's over because the synergy says they move together. Read the juice and stop guessing. Now I would highly recommend using a sharp book like FanDuel to do this research on. Step 5. Build out the full slip. Here's the full example slip I build off this read. Cade Cunningham assists on the over and Jalen Durant points on the over. That would be my Pistons synergy stack. Jason Tatum points on the over and Jaylen Brown's points on the under. That's my Celtics inverse split stack. 4 picks, 2 real synergies, 2 reads doing all of the work. In a full slate, I'd extend this to a 6-pick flex with 1 more synergy or 2 more individual props. 6 legs, 2 to 3 stacks, maximum compounding, and that's the exact way I would do it. Big picture. Betting players in isolation is a losing game. The book has decades of data on every individual. You will not out-research that. But the book prices each prop assuming all is equal, and all else is never equal. Find the players whose stat lines are mathematically tied, stack them in the same direction or the opposite, and run it on the slip format that pays you for being correct. That's the whole framework. That's the edge. Stop picking players and start picking pairs. If you've got something out of this video, the most helpful thing you could do is smash that like button. It tells YouTube to push this to more people who are tired of losing on bad strategies. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. That way you don't miss another one just like this. And if you do want to get all my plays 50% off, code YouTube with the first link in the bio. Or you can try the tools yourself for free. Use code ICON at checkout and you'll also get 25% off with your 5-day free trial. I'll see y'all later. Peace.